Hey everybody, it's Jeremy, and welcome back to turn 30 of Pokemon Gold. This is a pretty big turn. Let's jump in. So, we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on. We got 51 gold from Saffron City. They're still kind of like tossing gold our way, which is cool. It's appreciated. We covered a fair chunk of ground in researching. We finished Alteration 2, Evocation 1 and 2, and Thaumaturgy 1. And then we have a whole shit ton of scissors coming at our face because that's Olivine gig. Olivine has super souped up Steelixes, and then they have scissor spam. So that's basically the scenario. So we're gonna watch each one of these real quick, kind of see what's going on, so we can kind of try to figure out what can we do. How do we handle the scissors? Is there something that we can realistically do? I think the answer is yes, generally speaking. But we'll see, right? So, we've got Battle 1. We've got a Battle Girl Pearl. She's got a single Growlithe and a single Machop. Let's see how it goes. So, she does cast Stone Send, because we did just finish Alteration 2. So that's cool. Her protection goes up to 18, which isn't bad. It's not crazy, but it isn't bad. Iron Skin would be a scenario where that would be pretty helpful, right? Getting Iron Skin would boost her protection up to, I think, like 21 or 22, something like that. And then she does Flying Shield, which actually is also a pretty nice defensive buff. Air Shield, also going to be good. Should block most of his air slashes. Okay. Cool. And now she's going to spam Phantasmal Warrior. I think there are actually probably better things she can spam from Conjuration. She should be able to anyways. So I'm actually surprised on the Phantasmal Warrior choice, but we'll see. Bunch of Phantasmal Warriors coming out. This may be useful, but realistically, Scissor has multiple magic attacks, so this thing's going to come into melee and pop. And, okay, so she has Battle Girl Pearl. Yield has decided that she doesn't want to cast anymore. She's going to come in here. And here's the thing, right? So, she only has 12 hit points. This guy has 40. But protection-wise, they're not far off. Stat line wise, they're not far off. And the Battle Girls actually hit fairly hard. So with defensive buffs, there's the chance that a Battle Girl could take a Scissor. I think it's a low chance. Yeah, so. And here's why it's a low chance. It's not because of X Scissor. Not because of Wing Attack. And it's not because of Air Slash. Air Slash, I mean, if I get hit with Air Slash and paralyzed, then obviously that's an issue. But the real issue is Metal Claw. And the real issue is because Metal Claw is armor piercing. So, this 19 is basically a guaranteed one-shot to a Battle Girl if it hits. Almost guaranteed, depending on what their armor is at. So. Alright, so that is that. We'll leave Chuck for last, because that's the one. So now we've got, I think this is the priest, the nurse, right? So we've got, yep, the nurse has a couple of peeps, getting blessed up, etc. The nurse probably is the one that has the least chance of this working out. Yeah, and she's routed and gonna die. And then we have Tella, right? There's another Battle Girl Pearl. And so if we watch this again, we can see she goes through the Stone Skin route. Now, she actually summons Earth Power because she doesn't have air, right? So she goes the Earth Power route. And then she actually starts Legions of Stealing, which I think she hits herself on. Definitely Strength of Giants herself. So, with Strength of Giants, she actually hits really hard. but because she's not air, she has less defensive buffs. Which means when she comes in, there's a chance. Make your attacks. Oh, she hit for 8 and gets popped. So the Battle Girls do have the chance. I think I'm not sure, except for kitting a nurse out. I'm not sure there's a way for a nurse to survive. But the Battle Girls, I do think I could get them to survive with a simple, relatively simple kit. Okay, let's watch Chuckalacka. Now, unlike the others, Chuck comes very equipped. So, and this is through a combination of Chuck just gets Polyrath Champions and Primates on his own, which I think are not necessarily a guarantee against a Scissor, but one champion and one Primate is going to be comparable to a Scissor. But also, Chuck has bodyguards. Some of the bodyguards are actually bodyguards. Those bodyguards are very strong. So Chuck is definitely at an advantage. Quicken Self. Really, Chuck? Really? Fire Shield. Aha. Interesting. Chuck is choosing some Holy Avenger. Chuck, what are you doing? You have 9 protection. Cast something that is actually defensive. Ah, Flying Shield. Okay. Doesn't matter. Chuck has a wall of people that's just going to beat that Scissor down. Done. So, this means we have lost our nurse. We have lost both of our Battle Girls. That sucks. That means we do not have that support for the army. That's very annoying. We'll see if it matters. So, some site searching. Nothing in Impassable Mountains, nothing in Dathan, but 3 magic sites in 3 Pine Grove. We found a Mercury Pond, a Cypress Forest, and a Split Oak. This is very, very cool. So we've got 2 more water gems, a air and nature, and then another air. So again, our air in 2 turns went from 4 to 8. And our water in 1 turn went from 4 to 6. So that is extremely good luck. Very nice. If we actually look at the score graphs, right here, our gem income just took a sharp uptick. So that's very nice. Okay, so we got a battle in Omicria. Let's actually watch. So Chuck survived the spam. So he arrives with the army. What is here? Well, we got some PD. And a Steelix champion. The Downfall of Thought. Equipped with his Flask of Holy Water, which blesses him with Precision 3, Fire Resistance 10, a Natural Protection 5, Regeneration, and Heat Aura 3. He is massive. He has incredible protection. He has very high magic resistance. And he is incredibly strong and a trampler. So he does already have a missing eye and a limp, which kind of cuts his capabilities slightly. But let's be honest, his real capability is the not dying. Okay? Let's see how that works. He casts Iron Will. We have a salvo that goes out aiming at him, and it does nothing. That's fine. It's hard to... Oh, it's impossible to tell what the Vaporeons are versus what the Glaceons are. Okay, so all he cast was Iron Will. So he's basically just scripted to cast Iron Will and then go in. The rest of these guys don't matter. They're going to get bowled over. We care, how does he fare against the Wall of Machokes? And you, as soon as the wall hits him, you can watch, right? Just look. So he's healing. He's regenerating for 24. But every turn, it's multiple hits. Just multiple hits over and over and over again. He's already down to 165, right? And these are just Machokes with a fair number of Machops running around underneath. If we speed this up just a tad, he tramples around, and again, every time it's just a massacre. And so why is it? I'm trying to head this off at the pass because I'm going to tell you, it's not because we have 50,000 Machokes. We have close to 50 of the whatchamacallit guys. These guys, right? We have a bunch of these. Most of them are blue belts. Some of them are white belts, right? So most of these are in the shiny Machoke area. So we would have close to 40, I think close to 30 Machokes and another 20 Machops, right? The reason why we destroyed that Steelix isn't because of the number that we have, although it makes it faster. It's because of two things. And it's both of them are the attacks. And now, technically, Machop has these same attacks, Machoke has these same attacks, and Machamp has the same attacks, but Machamp actually has an additional attack as well. But it's because of this. Karate Chop is armor piercing. So the 35 armor of the 30 plus armor, right? Even if we say 40, right? It becomes 20, right? 35 becomes 17, right? 30 becomes 15, that type of scenario. So we're hitting for more than that with the Karate Chop, right? Ignoring a roll, just straight up, we're hitting more for that. We're hitting every single time, basically, because the Steelix has no defense. It has like 5 defense, and as soon as it gets attacked, it's harassed down to basically 0, right? So there's that. And then low kick is 3 times versus larger beings. The Steelixes are larger than all of my sacreds, so this low kick is a 30 instead of a 10, right? And you add in the fact, right, that he doesn't have blunt resistance. He only has slashing resistance and piercing resistance. And we do enough damage to offset his regen. Now, if he starts doing stuff like, if he starts doing a full script, like Temper Flesh, Iron Skin, I'm not sure what else, like Legions of Steel. I don't know actually if he has, he's not wearing any armor or anything, is he? Yeah, he's not wearing any armor, so that's not going to matter. Regardless, though, right? If he starts doing a full script, then this is going to be a little more difficult. But he's still, it's just what our guys are versus what his guys are, right? These guys are made to chop through high armor targets and kick through larger targets. Like, specifically speaking, they're made to kill things like Steelix. So, we're in a very good place. Machamps will do an even better job. But that doesn't mean that we're out of the woods, right? It takes, because of the massive quantity of regeneration that he has, it does take a long time to cut through him, right? The longer a fight takes, the more we are going to lose. We lost 1 Glaceon and 1 blue belt in that. Every blue belt we lose, right? So we have 43 blue belts. So even without the bug, I'm going to throw this out, even without the bug, we would have 43 Machokes, okay? And that is more than enough to deal with this one Steelix. Now, if he brought 3 or 4 Steelixes to bear, then 43 Machokes might not be enough, especially with like full scripts, right? We're not out of the woods yet because there are other options that he has on his table. Things like Earthquake Spam or Curse of Stones, a bunch of stuff that can potentially screw us over, right? But this is a good start for us. So what else do we have? Because these are so expensive. This is 325 gold, like in a single chunk, plus a freaking holy water. That's a big deal. All right, we got a battle against, or Violet City against Olivine City. Let's watch this. And this is kind of another example of what happens. Oh no, this is just rating. Never mind. The last turn was the example of what happens. So we've got the blessings that come out, right? Blessing here, blessing there. Actually, what's Olivine's bless? Shock weapons. So shock weapons is actually an issue for me. Shock weapons twist fate with these guys being glamored. These are terrifying. Oh, he's actually got them running forward instead of flying. That's good, actually. I don't know, the ranged attack is good, but like Gust does not seem to be very strong. Or perhaps the strength is fine, it's just it's very inaccurate, it seems. Jeez. Like, very inaccurate. Holy crap. Oh. Interesting. Alright. Unexpected event in Impassable Mountains. We got 3 fire gems. That's pretty cool. Urella was discovered and attacked in Olivine City, so that's a bust. Unfortunate. Entrance to Omicria has been breached. We got some afflictions cured. We got some things promoted. And we got Ferris, the Iron Wizard. Let's go check Ferris. What the fuck, Ferris? God damn it. Alright, we kind of got cheated here. Ferris, we paid 111 gold for Ferris, and Ferris has 1 health left. He is diseased, he is crippled, battle fright, chest wound. This sucks. So, we're going to try to forge a crystal coin, because he's going to die next turn. We're going to try to forge a crystal coin. I believe forging happens before the ticks of disease happen. I am not positive, but I think that's some of the last stuff that happens in the turn. I haven't bothered to check it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Whatever. I'll live with it. But we're going to try to forge a crystal coin, because a crystal coin will still be worthwhile. A crystal coin on a schoolgirl will bring us up to Astral 2. Astral 2 will allow us to do a Starshine Skullcap ourselves. And that's a 3 Astral schoolgirl. So that's pretty decent. So Ferris is hopefully not going to be a complete bust. Alright, we got some stuff going on. We're going to have to change our order of operations a little bit, right? We're going to have to... I can't send entire mage cores at Olivine and have him just scissor them down, right? Scissor is roughly at the same level as, I believe, Hitmonchan Top? Or Wild Hitmonchan. So this should be level 4, I believe. Yeah, that's the highest assassination I think that exists. So, I'm gonna throw this out there. Scissor is a much better fucking assassination than a Hitmonchan is. Hitmonchans are paper thin and will die almost immediately. But it doesn't cost him much at all to do this, and it's very worthwhile for him to kill a to kill a mage every turn that he can. So we're gonna send Chuck, and basically only Chuck for now. We are going to start looking into options like bringing shield white belts, because they are bodyguards, and as they level up, this bodyguard value gets higher, so we're probably going to start putting them with people. We're also going to look into options like bottles of living water and things like that. There is always the option of Pokeballs, right? The only issue being that basic Pokeballs are basically useless against a scissor. It just buys a little bit of time. But they're better than nothing, and I can make them. I mean, we know I can make them for fucking 1 gem. So that's something to keep in mind. But another thing that we're doing is we are forging some gear for Chuck. So we're going to be forging a dragon helmet, armor knights, and a lodestone amulet on Chuck. Partially to help beef him up against assassins, partially just because Chuck's valuable and he probably needs to have some gear. We probably need to pad out his magic resistance so he can't get sniped by spells super easily, etc. So, Chuck is going to be storming the castle in Omicria to take that, and hopefully, then we will basically either back off and grab items, or we'll go on to Saffron City and try to pop it and get some access to a lab. I don't know if there's a lab in Omicria or not. If there is, great. If not, whatever. Ugh. 2 enchanted tombs here. That's cool. So we're storming the castle. All right, what are we doing in other places? Well, mostly we're doing what we have been doing. Okay, so in the Viridian front, basically, we are researching. We got, by the way, I feel like it's a little hard to show. The turns take too long if I don't do this, but you guys are missing out on a bunch of item placements every turn between now owl quills, lightless lanterns, pokeballs, etc. But basically, every turn is a Jenga scenario of me trying to fit all of my items into a location. So we're forging more lightless lanterns, we're forging more owl quills. We are recruiting in Viridian City. We're recruiting another school nurse, and we're actually moving the nurse from Kunal. I wanted to move her into Chuck's area to start healing these afflictions, but she's just going to get sniped by scissors, so that seems irrelevant. We're actually going to bring her from Kunal into Viridian City so that these guys can get healed up, right? So that's the plan, because we want, once these guys finally hit 90, which is not too far off, we want to basically send this army off to do work. Right, because this is 40 prodigies, and each of these Machamps is going to be able to wreck some people. And honestly, the prodigies themselves aren't super... They're not great, but they're not bad, right? Especially with like some actual buffs, these guys will be pretty decent. And these Meowths, I have no idea how Persians are. We'll see. I'm assuming it's probably not going to be great. We're moving a guy around to collect Mareeps. We're doing more site searching, etc. We're site searching all over the place, as we have been. Work in the Impassable Mountains continues. We are getting closer and closer to our Ampharos factories coming online. Aoila actually got a level, so she is 140 leadership now. Another thing that I really want to do once I get some battle girls out. By the way, I'm moving out Nan Bagor. I'm moving him over to Three Pine Grove because I'm going to put a fort on Three Pine Grove. These schoolgirls are valuable enough and cheap enough that I should just be massing them. I should absolutely be massing them. Not only are they the cheapest, most efficient freaking Astral 1 mages in existence, right? They also have a 10% chance to get anything but blood, which means any one of these that actually gets the 10% random is going to be a very useful communion master, because they will be easily able to get into the communion, and they'll be able to cast a high level spell. So it's going to be amazing. Okay, what else is going on? Specifically, we are building a temple in Kodakar for the same purposes that we discussed previously, right? The ability to grab some Pidgeys here or there, and the ability to start pumping out Team Rocket Grunts. The purpose of the Team Rocket Grunts is twofold, right? Initially, we can use them as defense organizers, which is just nice to have, right? Having 19 defense and being able to pop that over into 20, because we get some decent stuff for 20, right? 19 is pretty much whatever, but 20, right? These guys could kill a thug depending on what that thug is, okay? So that's a big deal. Being able to just pop out these very cheap Team Rocket Grunt Alkalites is going to be pretty nice. Here's another thing, though. They do some other stuff. They do cause unrest, but again, as soon as you get to 10 defense, the unrest is negated, basically. But the other thing is they're heretics. They're inquisitors, right? So they can preach against other people, double. So they're priests too. They're heretics, right? Which means it's gonna be annoying in our own lands, right? But they're stealthy, so we can send them into other people's realms and start preaching. And I think that's gonna be kind of important for Ekrutik. Ekrutik is basically Urmor. They are basically death. They're like Urmor Therados, right? So they're Urmor in that they pop kill everything, and they're Therados in that they have a bunch of ethereal units. They're super pain in the ass, and making sure that we beat them out in Dominion is going to be an important thing. So I think a couple of heretics, a couple of inquisitors is going to be pretty decent. I think we are relatively, especially since we have our Order 3, right? We are relatively well equipped to fight unrest and keep it very low across our lands while we are using them as defense organizers. And then while we're not using them as defense organizers, they can be very effective at annoying the enemy. Okay? So that's what we're doing here. I think that is, it's like 400 gold. Yeah, it's 400 gold, and I think it's relatively well spent. We are fishing for a fucking water. We are fishing for a water girl. We need a water battle girl. We need to be able to make 5 gem water items for 1 gem. Specifically. Not that. Specifically, where's my... There's a breathing item. That... It's the water breathing. So specifically, rings of water breathing, right? So we can make these for 1 gem, right? And that will allow us to send thugs underwater, okay? This is not a declaration of war against Atlantis or anything like that, but Atlantis has a ridiculously high gem income. That is terrifying, and we need to be able to respond to it when we can. Plus, I've also heard whispers of Ekrutik readying itself to fight against Atlantis. If that happens, I need to be able to respond by vulturing certain provinces as quickly as possible. Then there's also the scenario of like forging things like bottles of living water, right? A battle girl turns this from 10 gems into 6 gems. 6 gems is how many we get per turn. So we could make a bottle of living water every freaking turn. A bottle of living water is something that is actually potentially useful for helping guard things like our new Priest 3 Machampion, who needs to be able to lead armies, but he doesn't actually carry any, Like, he doesn't have any fucking Pokemon with him. So he is very hard to defend, unlike Chuck. So we have to rely on gear, and the champion's gear slots are very wonky, right? So things like bottles of living water are going to be super important for protecting them. So we really need to get a Battle Girl X with a water random. We really need that. What else are we doing? We are recruiting some more Battle Girl Rubies because we need more scouts. Also, we just need more flying capabilities, which is why we are recruiting some black belts. We're recruiting these guys because they can actually lead small squads of Hitmonlees, right? And we actually are starting to get Hitmonlees because we are entering our Cyanwood City site, where you can get Hitmonlees from that. So having these guys around to lead small flying raiding parties, basically, is pretty good. Okay. Especially since, again, we can put very cheap gear on these guys, and make them relatively tough to kill. So, we also want them because we might start blood hunting soon. Might start blood hunting in Dathan, might start blood hunting in Ministra. Blood hunting is an option. We have a bunch of things on the table for us. Now that we're Construction 6 and we're starting to ramp up our research, we have options for doing things like Earthblood Deepwell, but and other things, but some of those options are very complicated, right? Like, for example, how do we get to Earth 6 to be able to cast something like Earthblood Deepwell? Well, we got these Earth Boots, right? We got, so we have a Earth 4, basically. We could get really lucky and we could random into an Earth 5. That's incredibly unlikely, right? But we could fish for some stuff and maybe get an Earth 4 out of this. But even then, how do we get, even if we get lucky and we get an Earth 4, how do we get an Earth 5? Right? Or how do we get that final tick up, right? Because the boots are easy. Earth boots are super easy. But the final tick or two is very hard. One of those routes is a bloodstone, right? Getting earth, blood. We have plenty of earth. We have 0 blood. And I don't think anyone really has blood, is the thing. I don't think any of the Pokemon nations really have blood. So we're probably going to try to bootstrap our way into blood, right? Get a scenario where we are trying to farm for some... oh, and actually I need to change that, because this is why all these people are not training anymore. But since I'm not doing... I actually decided to wait, so I'm going to put them back in. Or at least part of them. Yeah, no, it's all of them. Because I mean, there's no reason for them to not get experience chevrons, if it's not like it makes them cost anymore or anything like that. But we're gonna start looking into potentially blood hunting, and seeing if we can't bootstrap our way into blood for things like bloodstones, but also just for other reasons, right? We could eventually look into things like staves of elemental mastery, right? Because we do have earth fire. But, so for example, or not earth fire, earth water, right? So earth water on like Vena, right, would be relatively easy to get water up to 4. But fire is the hard thing. We could boost someone in death, to be able to do a death fire for a, what is it, a flame skull? Which could get us up to 3 fire, right? We could, but that doesn't get us to fire 4. We can run up conjuration to conjuration 6 to get flame spirits, which are naturally 3, rank 3 fire, right? Or tier 3 fire. And then we could put the flame skull on them, and then their fire 4, and then they can make a flame helmet or fire helmet or whatever it's called, right? And then we can take both of those and put them on Vena, and then Vena would be fire 4, water 4, and can make staves of elemental mastery. So we have all of these kind of janky ways to bootstrap our way up in elemental paths, but they're expensive and they're time consuming. So we are going to, it's turn 30, right? We might see fruition of some of these things in the next 10, 15, 20 turns if we start now. But that's going to be a very big if. So we're going to start trying to set ourselves up to do things like blood hunting in Dathan, in Ministra. Those are probably going to be the 2 target locations that we go for, mostly because they are a little bit safer and they meet the criteria for allowing for blood hunting success, right? So we're going to see how that goes. It's probably going to go really shitty in the beginning. These guys are probably going to be where we start, right? Just have them blood hunt, see how it goes. And once we actually get some blood slaves, then we'll get someone boosted. We'll get some sanguine dowsing rods made, and we'll have the booster go out and actually try to get. So you know how it goes, right? It's the very long process of trying to bootstrap our way into blood. But really, we're not trying to go crazy into blood. I just want to get a little bit so that we can try to do things like bloodstones, because bloodstones are going to make life really easy for us if we can get there. Okay, what else are we doing? Not a lot, really. Most of everything else is normal business. I talked about the recruitment that we're doing. After the recruitment and the temple, we didn't really have much money for units. We're actually skipping on prodigies this turn. We're still getting a couple Mareeps. We want to try to fill out this 40. Oops, sorry about that. We want to try to fill out this 40 as much as we can and go from there. And I think that's probably about it. So this has been a long episode. I apologize for the long-windedness. We're also bringing our scouts down further into. We're going to try to get another scout on Olivine. Irma over here is instilling uprisings in Greenwall. Basically, we just want to. This is another reason why we want to produce these gals, is because they are spies, they are useful, they are 70 stealth. It is very hard for them to get caught. And instilling uprisings is pretty effective at. We saw how it worked with Viridian City, right? It's pretty effective at causing unrest and locking a person down. So, and we're targeting his capital right now, right? But we might actually just start looking at large provinces, and seeing what he has. Like Bandit Hills is probably going to be one of his best provinces. It looks pretty big, so we'll do that stuff. We'll see how it works. All right, that is going to be it for the turn. I will see you all next time. I'm really getting back into this game. Like I think I was starting to flag on it a little bit before the big patch and the time away from the game. Now that we're back into it, though, we're so close to some really cool, awesome things going on with the Ampharos factories, hitting our research goals, ramping up into construction. This is why I wanted to play this nation, right? I wanted to play this nation because I thought they were really cool with the forge bonuses and the combo options of not really needing a crazy bless, but benefiting from a nice defensive bless. So we'll see how it works. I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Peace.